Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me back on the Freemelon Society. I'm Eli Martyr, and I am joined with the lovely Saeed Mobayed. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Mobayed.
Mobayed. Okay, Saeed
Mobayed. That's
Mobayed.
it, man. That's it.
Perfect.
Spoken like a true Canadian, by the way.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
Canadians pronounce
exactly.
it like that.
Yeah.
I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. I know. I've had my name butchered by virtually everyone growing up,
You,
with a name like
you
Eli.
know, when I watch your videos, I knew you're Canadian. It's
Yeah.
not that Canadians have a specific accent, but you just know.
You just know. Yeah.
It's like the manners. It's in the manners somehow. It's in the manners.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really happy that we have a chance to get together because when I first saw your videos, you reminded me of myself, and you had a lot of really interesting topics to cover on your channel. Give us a brief rundown who you are, what your channel's about, what you focus on. That way we can know who you are and what we're going to be talking about here on this.
Okay, brother. Okay. And I'd like to do the same thing also because you're also my guest. We're sort of
Sure.
co-guests here, and I want everybody to get to a little bit of your background. But basically,
Sure.
to give you the little rundown, I started off the channel, the YouTube channel. Well, okay, I started off as a fitness channel.
Yeah.
I had over 100,000 subscribers. I was doing strictly bodybuilding, calisthenics, muscle building, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I had a channel back in 2015, and it did really well, and it got over 100,000 subscribers. And something along the line happened about 2 years into the channel, where I started experimenting with psychedelics, and that shook me apart. It shook my life completely apart.
Yeah.
Because I was very materialistic. I had a really buff body, and like I had posters of Lamborghinis and the sexy girl and all that, the American dream, the whole materialistic thing, materialistic world. And I was very sucked into that world. And by a stroke of good fortune, I stumbled upon psychedelics. I did a trip, and I connected with the natural world like I have never connected in my life, probably since I was a little kid, before the social conditioning kicks in. And so I went down the psychedelic route for some time, and I experimented with mushrooms specifically heavily, and that just took me to a whole different reality. After a little bit of time, my entire life, my entire mindset, my entire mind-body complex was completely different. So different that I could no longer recognize my old world, and as a result, I started a new channel. I deleted a channel that was very successful, 100,000 subscribers, because I came to new truths. I realized I was first of all living in a lot of lies, and second of all, I was giving people bad advice like eat meat, eat this, the classical bodybuilding advice that you learn from going in the internet and getting all the whole fitness scene. And I felt responsible to just delete it altogether.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to tell anybody to eat meat. I don't want to tell anybody to eat foods that are inflaming them, etc. And of course, all that buffness that I had back in the days was all inflammation. I think you also come from a fitness background, so you sort of understand a lot of what I'm saying here.
I do. Yeah. I'll tell you. Sorry, just to interrupt you just for a second. It's so funny how you're describing almost exactly what my path was. So anyway, I'll get into that when I do my little spiel. So continue. Yeah.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Yeah. And so anyway, man, I went into a different world. I would experience these unworldly states of consciousness. And yeah, after some time, I eased up a little bit on the psychedelics because they put me sort of on the right path. From that point, I did some microdosing, and the channel initially started as a psychedelic channel, and the intention was for it to be a psychedelic channel, but it turned out to be more of consciousness, and I cover a wide range of topics there. I talk about raw foods. Breatharianism is more of my focus now. Non-duality, how to help the world, etc., etc., etc. Many different topics there. I'm also into extraterrestrials, ET contact. I think anybody who experiments long enough with psychedelics, you and you don't have to, but I'm saying, you start to
Yeah.
talk to aliens and blah blah blah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't use psychedelics anymore. I may use it like once every 6 months or so, something like that. They put you on the right path. For me, that was my case.
Mm-hmm.
I needed a drastic intervention in my life because I was really sucked into the materialistic world.
Yeah.
So that really big slap in the face came through psychedelics.
Right.
And I still make some psychedelic content, but that's not the focus anymore. The focus is the ascension, essentially, and the enlightening of people.
Right.
You see, similar to the content you do. And I live for it now, brother. I don't have anything else to live for.
Mm-hmm.
I live for my videos. I live for the truth. And of course, the truth is always being updated. You know, you're always getting updated. You have to stay humble and open. I think you do find the truth eventually if you're patient enough. I think you do find the truth.
Yeah.
And once you find it, like, for example, like when I truly knew that, all this food that we've been eating all this time, save maybe fruits. When I mean, for me, man, like, I'm at the realization now, the full realization that food is a drug, like heroin, like crack, and even fruits for me is like the marijuana of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Cooked foods is like the heroin.
Yeah.
And once you realize that, and it really hits you that it's like the entire planet is a bunch of drug addicts.
Yeah.
It's no different than going to a different planet. From this one, a parallel Earth where everybody shoots cocaine or shoots heroin 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go there and you're like, what are you guys doing? You guys are all addicted to heroin. And everybody looks at you and says, no. In here, all we do is we shoot heroin 3 times a day because that's how we get our energy.
Yeah.
And everybody looks at you like you're a crazy maniac.
Sure.
Now, in the same token, if somebody comes from a parallel Earth that is a perfect Earth, let's say, and comes to this Earth and looks at us and says, what are you guys doing eating 3 times a day? Don't you know you're all drugged up? And then we look at him like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like you look at him like a lunatic, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Once these things begin to hit you and you know that that's the truth, and you begin to experience it. Like in your case, you did a 7-day dry fast and you were working out every single day. Mm-hmm. You experienced the truth for yourself.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and
right?
No, it's really funny, and it's interesting you say that. It's something that I haven't covered in particular on my channel. Regarding even fruit, even your natural food being something that is like a drug and stimulating. And the only reason I haven't gone into it is because people are so easily thrown into disarray. They just don't understand. So it's right now for me, it was always better to just avoid that level, because we don't even know that fruit is our natural food to begin with. So, I mean, for people that don't even know that, get accustomed to what you're supposed to be putting in your body first, and then you can progress to even weaning yourself off of what you're supposed to be eating. And in my experience, I know exactly what that's like. So if I eat a heavy fruit meal for, on one particular day, I will crave more of that and more because I've eaten more. But, living the way I do, I always, no exceptions, feel better, stronger, faster, cleaner during periods where I'm not eating or drinking anything, or even just drinking water. When I'm not eating solid foods, you always feel better. And that state of cleanliness, now that I know what that's like, because I do it all the time. It's what is it now? What time is it right now? It's like it's been just over a day now that I haven't had food or water, and I barely notice. You know what I mean? So it's like you feel so good, right? Last night I went to the sauna, and again, this is not a prescription for not drinking water. Okay, I don't want to give people the wrong impression, right? Because I do hydrate very well, but once your body starts getting cleaned out, it's just because the need leaves you for these things. It's very easy to forget, and you start to feel the good energy, and It's just not on your mind, right? Oh, gotta hydrate, these intellectual things that we're programming.
Right.
So it's just not on my mind very often. I'm just doing whatever I need to do in the day. And then, 24 hours later, it's like, well, I still feel fine. I mean, I haven't had water or food, but it's like, who cares, right? So anyway, I don't want to get into that in detail quite yet, but it's interesting that you mention food being addictive, even natural good foods, and it is true. It's something, so for viewers on my channel, it's something that I haven't discussed in detail, but I also don't want to give the impression that you should be abstaining from fruit, right? Or leafy green vegetables or whatnot. For you on your path, don't abstain because of what we're discussing here. There is a very large process at play that you will discover as you go further and further along on this path of spiritual and physical evolution. So I just wanted to make that little caveat.
You did a 7-day dry fast, exercising every single day.
I did.
You documented it.
Yes, I did.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Right. I mean, they tell you 3 days and you're dead, and you're exercising every day.
Yeah, and it really frustrated me. Just knowing what the health community had to say about fasting at that time, and I think from when I even put up that video, a couple of short years later, already I think there's more of an accepted view of in regards to fasting. But still, most of the mainstream sources, they 3-4 days without food or water, and your kidneys are going to explode. You're going to die. You're going to be chronic. You're going to be dehydrated, and it's just like, I'm 5 days, 6 days into my dry fast, feeling fine, and it's just like, I don't see what the fuss is about, really. I've done 7-day dry fasts, 5-day dry fasts, 3-day dry fast, like a joke. I mean, this is something I could do at the drop of a hat. I don't care when. I've done week-long water fasts, 2-week-long water fasts. I've done, the longest I went recently was I went a month. I went 32 days or so on just water. I did that in the context of a 90-day juice cleanse. So just juices, and then I think in the tail end of the juice cleanse, that's when I did the water fast. So I've done.
Man, you're on the breatharian path. Like it looks like that's where you're heading.
Mm-hmm.
You're heading towards the state of anemia.
Yes.
Chronic state. So I suppose that's what you're aiming at. You're not aiming at just fruits and raw.
No.
I mean, clearly you're aiming at something. You're aiming at the chronic state, the anemia.
Yes. Yeah. I'm very, very well versed with the literature. So I mean, this is not a mystery. It's not it's not foreign to me.
Nice. It's nice to know that you don't, because once you don't see it as a mystery and you understand it seems like the most natural thing.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
It almost seems like it's unnatural to put something in here. It becomes that like that. It's like, I mean, I eat, but I'm like, here we go. I'm a drug addict, but I know, I know that it's one thing to know you're a drug addict and you're indulging in your drug, in your behavior.
Yes.
It's another thing to have no idea that you're an addict, and so
exactly, yeah.
It's cool,
awareness, man, guys. Awareness is key. Just as soon as you know something, as soon as you have knowledge of something, as soon as you have awareness, then it makes all the difference in the world. Because even if you act against that knowledge, so let's say I were to go and have McDonald's, knowing about McDonald's and knowing the damage it's done, so like knowing. That is what will stop me from recurring that habit over and over and over. Whereas if you just don't know, well, then it's very easy for you to recur the habits. So, to answer your question, I'm definitely aware of that path, and that's something that I would very much have aspirations to, slowly in the future, taking it step by step.
So I wanna tell you something, and then I want to ask you something.
Sure.
So, just before 2 weeks ago, when I was doing the 3 days just liquids, fruit juices, my body was unbelievably supple and loose. But ever since coming here, spending time with the family, and sort of just eating whatever is available, right? All the aches that have gone away like 2-3 months ago, because I drove Uber for 6-7 months.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of aches in my body. In the last 2 weeks, they all came back.
Right.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Because I've been just eating sort of, vegan, but
Yeah.
whatever. Salt, complex foods,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of them. I had this knee thing in my right side that completely disappeared as I just did the juices, just the fruit juices. Completely disappeared.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's back.
And it's back.
Some of the old tension in my shoulder that completely disappeared. And it turns out all this tension that I had before, I used to have to do a lot of stretching and stuff. That's all acidity from the food. Just getting stuck in the body. And now I'm getting, right now as I'm speaking to you, I'll tell you what, brother, I'm going back on my own tomorrow again. The contrast I experienced the last 2 weeks scared me away from breaking cosmic laws and making the foods complex.
Yeah.
So contrast is good.
Yeah.
Contrast is really good.
Yeah.
Going for long periods of time, experiencing a higher state, and then going back to some of the old ways, and then like, holy shit, there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's very good. And I recommend, I always tell people, use contrast. Somebody asked me the other day, I fast for 23 hours. And then when I eat, I lose my shit.
Yeah.
I binge. What do? I told them, bro, one way you could go about it is continue to binge every single day and let the brain teach you.
Yes.
Because every day you're going to be like, oh, fuck, here we go again.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, here we go again.
Yeah.
Right? And you eat and you indulge, and it's like half an hour of brutality. And then you're like, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah.
And then you can't sleep, and then it's like you get pain, and
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like you do it over and over, and that'll teach you.
And that'll teach
right?
you. Yeah.
That'll teach you.
A direct experience is a very, very powerful teacher. If you really want to, again, teach yourself a hard lesson, then whatever the food is that you're addicted to, okay, you want to eat that food? Go for it. Eat it. Let's say it's chocolate. Okay. I want you to have as much chocolate as you possibly can eat for the next 4 days, right? And when you don't want chocolate anymore, force yourself to eat chocolate the next time you're hungry. If you're thirsty, drink some water, yeah, but have more chocolate. If that's what you want, then do it. Have it.
Do it. Yes.
You are going to feel so terrible. Your body is going to just absolutely rebel against the ridiculous behavior that you're subjecting itself to, that you won't forget that experience, and you'll learn. And then you repeat that maybe a week later. Okay, I'm going to do the same experiment except with apples. Notice the difference, How did you feel at the end of 4 days of apples versus 4 days of chocolate? You will never, ever for the rest of your life forget that lesson that contrast has taught you. You will never forget. About a year and a half ago, I wanted to do some tests on conventional cooked food and some restaurant food. I wanted to see how I would react to it living cleanly for it had been a year or so. Healthy, right?
Healthy.
Vegan wraps, like burritos, like vegan burritos and like conventional.
Right.
To me, what is garbage food, but to the average person, healthy food, okay? No meat, no dairy, nothing like that. I had two vegan wraps. I was fine with them. I ate them and I enjoyed them, okay? But I was so dehydrated after eating these two things. All I could think of was grapes. I'm like, I need some fruit. Oh my God, give me some fruit.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah. But I know that eating fruit would not be a good thing to eat after a meal of, such dense carbohydrates and combination. I knew that it would cause chaos in my body, right? I know that. From direct experience and, intellectually from the literature. But I could not shake the thirst. I'm like, it was killing me. These meals had just totally desiccated my insides, right?
Sucked the life out of me.
Sucked the life right out of me.
The water literally sucked the life out of you.
Sucked the life right out of me. Yeah. So I was feeling like garbage. Okay. I had these wraps in the afternoon around 12 or 1 because I wanted ample time to digest before going to bed. I did not want to go to bed with this garbage sitting in my stomach, right? So I gave myself enough time. I waited a couple of hours, right? So like the minimum. So I'm like, okay, you know what? As much as I shouldn't do this, and I know I've waited a good amount of time for this to clear out of my stomach, not my GI system, but at least my stomach. I need to have some fruit. I want something up there just to get it out and to hydrate. And I did. I had a bunch of grapes. That night was the first time since I can remember, since I was a kid, that I threw up. I threw up. I vomited.
Wow.
That night.
Wow.
I had not experienced nausea in my stomach. I can't even remember the last time. I threw up, guys. And it was because the fruit, the good cleansing nature of the fruit was it just started to ferment and clash with all of that garbage in that wrap. And it was so objectionable to my system that it caused me to have nausea and I threw up that night. And the feeling was, I will never forget it. So
the trauma reminds you, right? It's like 3 days ago, no, 2 days ago, I had baba ganoush. Baba ganoush is like this Middle Eastern thing. Yeah. It's got a lot of tahini in it.
Yeah, it's delicious, but it's
delicious. Yeah. But my goodness, was I pregnant for the next 24? No, maybe less. Next 20 hours. Oh, yeah. I was pregnant.
Oh yeah,
pregnant. Now that I can look you in the eye and tell you, I am never having anything with tahini ever again. Yeah. That trauma of being pregnant like this for 20 hours after eating it. It scared me shitless. Like, it just scared me straight out of that food for good. I don't want it. Now, for me, it's associated with trauma. You see? And that's the nice thing about just observe. Just don't judge. Observe. Okay, you want to eat meat? Go and eat meat. But listen down and observe what's happening in there.
Exactly.
Observe it. Watch it. Keep track of your bowel movements. See how long is it taking to get out. Yes. Smell your bowels. Smell your armpits. Just be observant, and that'll all teach you. And the trauma you pick up. Like, here's another thing. On 2 nights ago, when I had the tahini and it was causing some serious trouble in there, I think it even had dairy in it. Yeah. I think it has some dairy in it. So I had bad dreams that night. Yeah. And I start to realize that anytime I had some food that I'm not supposed to have, I have bad dreams. I have nightmares. So that's the memory in it expressing itself in the form of nightmares. Sure. And it's like the trauma you get from these doing these things. It'll set you straight. Yeah. We can learn by 2 ways. We can learn by insight, or we can learn by pain. And I'm just a psycho like that, I guess. I learn by pain. I learn better by pain. Yeah, I truly do. Yeah. I'm an insightful person. I read. But for me, it's like, all right. Like, I read everything about Arnold Ehret's The Mucusless Diet. I listened to it like 3 times. Man's Higher Consciousness by Health and Routine. All of it. I know all of that intellectually. But until I experience it for myself, until I say, Hilton or Arnold Ehret is saying, if I eat these types of foods, I'm going to have mucus and this and that. And it's like, but I want to try it. Yeah, I want to experience the pain of it. Of course. And I do it, and like, I wake up in the middle of the night, and my nose is clogged, and I'm pasty, and I'm like, I don't like that feeling. Yeah. All right. Now I believe Arnold Ehret. Exactly. Now I believe him. Yeah. See? Yeah. It's like,
you want that corroboration for yourself. I mean, same thing with me. I would do the same thing. If I intellectually learn something and it makes very, very good sense and it really resonates with me, and that's great and that's awesome. But yeah, at the same time, you want personal experience as well. And that's what I was doing with that experiment. I was just settling and confirming, what I know. And it's like, okay, I want to see if these things are actually damaging. How do I feel when I eat them after a period of clean eating? And lo and behold, I felt like garbage. It felt like someone just filled my body with a combination of sand, camel dung, and horse piss. I felt awful.
I know.
And it's it's interesting because as much as those things are damaging, they're addictive, right? They're super, super addictive. No exceptions. Feel better, stronger, faster, cleaner during periods where I'm not eating or drinking anything. Always feel better. And that state of cleanliness, now that I know what that's like.
That clarity you speak of, you know what that is, brother?
Mm-hmm.
That's you being sober for the first time in your life. Sober.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And yeah. That's really one of the best ways. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you being sober for the first time in your life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, ever since you came into this dimension, you know, you get your mom's titties. Wow. Anytime you cried, even if you weren't crying for milk, they, you know, you got the titty, you got the milk.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, and then on and on, you got fed, you got, you know, you know, you eat and you need to drink because you ate, etc. So that's sobriety.
Yeah,
you know,
sobriety.
That's sobriety. That clearly sobriety.
Yeah, and like everything, you know, these all run on. These are all polarized phenomena. So there are levels of sobriety. You know, there's like alcoholic. You know, the typical alcoholic sobriety. Yeah. But there's also a level of sobriety that you can reach that's even higher, right? That has to do with the abstinence from other stimulating things, right? So with just simple fruits and simple vegetables, right? And then, of course, if you're one of the people that has like salt, seasonings, I need my coffee. Can't think without my coffee. Need my tea, my stimulants. Oh, I need chocolate. Yeah, well, you know, you're not sober. It's sobriety, but just on like a lower level, right? When you abstain from those, and so yeah, there's levels. You know, there's levels to this stuff.
Man, it's really crazy because I've been here now for almost 3 weeks at the family's house, and you know, just before coming here, I was on a strict juices. You know, 3 weeks, I maybe had 3 meals of solid food.
Yeah.
But ever since I've been here, I've been eating my mom's cooked foods. Now I'm keeping it vegan. There's no question about it.
Yeah, of course.
But the food is salty. And I watched your video about salt several times. Oh my God, salt might be the #1 poison, man.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous, this stuff. Yeah.
Crazy, man. Yeah. Crazy. Like you start to get really thirsty after, and no matter how much you drink, it's not enough. It's not enough. You wake up in the middle of the night and you're pasty here. It's you ran 3 marathons.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You know, when you look at life, the ingredients to life is sunshine and water. So you're literally sucking life out of you because you're sucking water out of the body. You're literally sucking the life force out of you.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's been like that almost every day for me, you know, and it's just nice to get the contrast. You know, I know this is temporary, and you know, I know it's a little, but it's a beautiful contrast that I just got, and I had to go watch your video about the salt again just to confirm everything, because experientially, you know, being exposed to this for a couple of weeks now, I'm like, wow, I sleep longer, I'm more thirsty, I'm constantly drinking water, my face is puffier, my vitality is lower because there's constant water being pulled out of my body. And it's like I realized, whoa, like salt may be the #1 poison, even though like it's maybe the #1 poison that the masses are exposed to. Salt.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere, and you start to really notice the damage salt does only when you live without salt for a certain period of time. And once it's like, you know, it's no different than a smoker. You know, if you smoke every day, you know, another cigarette puff, you know, on another, it's not going to do anything. You're not going to, but if you deprive yourself of smoking and then you try to go back to it, you have a quicker reaction to the poisons associated with ridiculous garbage being inhaled into your lungs and then going into your bloodstream. So so salt it's the same thing. Back when I was eating just garbage, I would have salt all the time, every single day. But my body didn't react strongly to it, right? And that's not a good thing. You want your body sensitive. So, you know, people might think it's a bad thing to, why would I want to work myself to a place where if I eat a couple of bad meals, I'll feel it and see it in the mirror, you know, in only a day or two. Whereas before, when I just used to eat whatever, I could eat whatever and, you know, my body wouldn't change. It's like, you don't want that. You want your body sensitive to things that are poisons to it, so that you know immediately this is not something that I should be, you know, putting into my system. You want that sensitivity. Like, I can, you know, if I eat very, very badly if I eat garbage, you will see it in my body in like days, less than days, right? And that's a good thing because I want my body to immediately reflect the sin that I've committed upon it, right? I don't want it to just be deadened,
Yeah.
right? So that I don't notice the effects. And that's what chronic habitual salt use does. It deadens your system to being able to reflect the damage being done. And
it's like it's not in man's higher consciousness, Hilton Natima talks about it.
yeah,
It's a perfect example is antidepressants. It's not that antidepressants make your depression go away. They numb you. So like it's like a sense, like your senses are numbed down. It's not that you're not depressed. It's just you're so numb you can't sense your suffering and depression anymore. And that's why people who get hooked on the antidepressants, they're neither happy nor depressed.
Yeah.
Because they can't feel.
Yeah,
they can't feel. Exactly. They're not alive. They're not alive anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I was having a conversation with one of my friends on Facebook just the other day, and talked about restaurants, and restaurants. The the thing to remember about restaurants, I know, for us in the health community, we always want to search for clean restaurants, vegan restaurants, clean eating, organic restaurants, and so on and so forth. A restaurant is a business. For a business that's centered around food, what you have to do is you have to create food that is particular to your business, to your restaurant. So McDonald's, for example, has to have a particular flavor associated with McDonald's that you cannot get elsewhere. So in order to do that, in order to have a recurring customer base, they need to create foods and food-like substances and even natural foods in certain combinations that make you want to come back and be a recurring customer. So to do that, they make stimulating food elements and create them in combinations with one another so as to hijack your senses into being hyper dopamine responsive. You know what I mean. They want to elevate your dopamine response to the food that they eat. They want to get you addicted. So they use things like combinations of salts and fats and sugars, right, and cooked food elements and whatnot. And they use that in their products. It doesn't even matter if they're clean, whole food products. So they'll do things like a cashew butter sauce, right? With, with falafel and, fried in oil and whatnot. Combinations of some whole foods and sell it to you as healthy. And it's just like these things, they're hijacking your system, right? A restaurant should be the grocery store. Just go to the grocery. I know. I would be pissing off countless millions of people with that statement. I know.
50% of the watchers just dropped.
I know. Yeah.
All right, these guys are idiots.
Yeah, these guys are idiots. Yeah. Don't eat at restaurants. It's like you can eat at restaurants if you like, but you should just put it in its proper perspective. You should understand that you are deviating from your natural preference when you eat at restaurants typically. Yes, I'm willing to concede that there might be some exceptions here and there. But by and large, right, when you eat at a restaurant, you are fooling yourself dietetically, right? Everything that you could possibly want, you should be able to either mix or combine at home by yourself, or just eat from a grocery store. That they have everything that you could want. You don't need some other restaurant to brand its particular whatever Buddha Bowl Rainbow Surprise or whatever it is.
Man, honestly, after every time I had a Buddha Bowl, I had more than a few bowel movements, and they weren't pretty. Let me tell you, they were not pretty, man.
Yeah.
They were not pretty bowel movements. You know,
amazing.
it's like. Oof, they put like it. You know what I realized? Like being here now and sort of, I've been experimenting with the different vegan foods. I just tell my mom to make it a certain way.
Yeah.
things like tahini, for example, which is sesame seed.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I'll never have it again.
No.
I'll never have it again.
Yeah.
I've had it here a few times, and I was pregnant for like the next 24 hours.
Oh,
I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Hummus, which is chickpeas.
Tahini.
Same thing.
Hummus. Oh. These are processed foods. You know, for the raw food community out there, tahini, hummus. This is processed food. Okay, make no mistake about it. Your body does not respond well to these pulverized, you know, powdered products, you know. And the problem is we think that they're healthy, and the thing is they are relatively healthier than if you eat meat and eggs and, you know, bulletproof coffee, keto, whatever. Yeah, it's better than that, but it's the difference between hey, would you like to get stabbed in the gut, or would you like to get punched in the face? Well, neither. But if I had to choose, I'd rather get punched in the face. You know, it's that type of thing.
Right. Exactly. Oh, well said, brother. Well said. Well said. And you know, I think there's two issues at hand here. One is human health, and two is planetary health.
Yeah.
So veganism, I fully endorse it. And I saw your review, by the way, on the Game Changers.
Yeah.
And I fully endorse veganism from the perspective of supporting the planet, stop killing the animals.
Of course.
Animals.
Yeah.
So in that sense, again, back to talking about different levels in the game. There is that level where if your average person goes throughout their life and transitions into veganism, they've done themselves and the planet a great service.
Yes.
Your average person, I mean, they hear some of the shit we're talking about here, and they won't even make it past 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I think just in 5 minutes in, we were talking about like food, not eating food or water, right?
Yeah.
They won't make it past that.
Yeah.
For people like that, they don't even watch your channel, my channel. They got no business with it. They want to be watching the vegan channels and the vegan activism, and that's the level they're ready for.
Yes.
I think the Game Changers was for the masses. I think it was a good step for the masses, right?
Yes.
Because we got to stop killing the animals, brother. That's like that. I mean, that's cannibalism. What we're doing is cannibalism, and it's murder. It's straight up murder.
Yeah.
You know, there are brothers and sisters. So veganism is fantastic for that. But if you're looking for optimal health, you could fuck yourself over with the vegan diet.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, take yourself straight to the graveyard, you know, with the vegan diet. Like, it's easy to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. You know, the whole vegan movement, it's got its roots in the right place. And for in terms of compassion to our, you know, animal brothers and sisters, who could not be on board? Well, most of the population, I guess. But yeah, I mean, when you start to wake up, to how this whole health and wellness and universal wellness works, who could disagree with that? But in terms of how that benefits if you're going to be concerned about the well-being of animals, you might as well be concerned about the well-being of yourself as well. Your own body. I mean, there are some vegans that are like, well, I don't care if it's healthy. All I care about is the wellness of the animals. You know, how could you not care about your body, like, at all? I mean, your body is the most divine gift that you could, like, it's such a blessing to have a physical body that does what it does and allows you to do, allows you to interact with the world in a way that is up to your choosing. You can use your human body to do anything. To squander that gift and to have such a lack of respect for it is really beyond me. So it's like you might as well cultivate health and wellness in your own body, as well as the health and wellness of other bodies outside of your own. Why not take care of both in the same step, rather than just saying, I don't care if it's unhealthy for me. It's just for the animals. It's like, yeah, that's good, but that doesn't place you at a higher nobility than someone who does that, cares for the animals as well, and takes care of his own or his or her own body at the same time. I mean, that is, I see that as a more noble philosophy than renunciating health for your own system. You know what I mean? Is that it seems common sense, but
And you know, again, brother, back to the well-being of the planet also. You could be vegan and be wasteful as fuck because you're buying all these things and all these packages and all this plastic and all this thing, and you're just, at the end of the day, you're buying it from like a grocery store, and it's like it's packaged, and it's like a, you know, some company that doesn't give a shit about your health, just want your money. Like, from that perspective, the ultimate way to live in harmony with the planet, and it's something now I'm working towards, is actually ultimately to live off the grid. Is to grow your own food. And what does that mean? That means you're gonna have to go raw. And the most you will do is you will just eat your vegetables maybe baked. You may cook them, but eat them just as they are, a potato or you know, whatever. But when you think about it, if we lived in total harmony with the planet, which means you would have to live off the land, what you would do is you would naturally plant your own foods and then make use of them. You know, you don't have at will a salt or a spice or a this or a that in the grocery store that you can buy. You know what I mean? And it's like, just the whole society, man, the way it's built is ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you walk 5 minutes into a grocery store and you could get whatever you want.
Anything.
Pick your poison. Pick your poison. Just pick your poison. That's it. Here is a big cart for you to put in as many poisons as possible in it. Don't get those small carts. No, get the ones that you the rollover ones, with the big ones, so you can have as many poisons. Here, pick your poison. What do you want? Here is the salt. Here is this thing. Oh, but it says vegan on it, and it says eco-friendly on it, right? Oh, right?
Oh, I know. I can pick up an apple, and then right beside it, I can get something like bone broth. What? You know what I mean? Like, that I can get those two wildly divergent types of foods in the, you know, within seconds of one another. It's crazy. Something I always say: convenience does not necessarily denote superiority. Okay, that I can throw a meal into a microwave and heat it up in seconds, fractions of a minute, right? Just because I can do that, it does not mean it's superior. Just because the microwave is a superior bit of technology does not mean that it is superior to what nature has prescribed you from time immemorial, from the time the universe was created. Those principles, that's truth. That's always going to trump technology or whatever. Always. Oh, you can always guarantee. And what you were saying about, you know, living off the grid and whatnot, when the more you come back to a more natural form of living, almost by necessity, you're going to have to eliminate complexity. More and more and more so, because you need to when you're living like that, you need to devote all of your resources to the bare elements, the bare necessities of survival, right? So you just don't have the time allotment to be. We were talking about Buddha bowls to begin with, right? Like earlier.
Right.
If you're living off grid and you want a Buddha bowl, you can't even imagine the level of complexity that you have to subject yourself to get that. You have to go and find just salt, okay? Just salt. You have to go and find a salt mine somewhere. Or if
climb
you don't
climb the Himalayas, right? You gotta go to Himalayas.
you have to get to the ocean, okay? But if you're not near the ocean, you have to like maybe dig up some rich wet soil. You'd have to process it and burn the soil and extract mineral salts. Okay, then you need to collect them, filter them, strain them, and then so eventually what you'd have is a pinch of salt, right? Which is
like this,
which of course is not enough. So we're talking about more than a day devoted to getting just the seasoning for your Buddha bowl. Now you need the wheat. You need a wrap. Okay? Holy Christ. I got to go to a wheat field. Man. I need to cultivate all sorts of wheat. Then I need to process the wheat, you know, strip the fibers and whatnot.
tahini sauce, bro. You get where are you gonna get
Ridiculous.
sesame seeds from?
Yeah.
And you gotta get a bunch of them, and you gotta grind them.
Exactly.
It's like, whoa.
Exactly. Now, on the other hand, I could do something like grow a sprout, right? Or grow a tomato plant. And so what is required is me to grow the plant, but then nature takes care of the rest and produces the tomato. And then you eat the tomato. So, guys, this is not complicated, right?
Really, right?
It's really not complicated. It really just does taking you sitting and really being honest with your senses and what they dictate to you.
One of the things you mentioned you wanted to talk about that I just remembered, and I would like to hear your take, and then I'll give my take on it.
Sure.
Why are people, speaking of the senses, why are people addicted to food? Why are they having such a difficult time getting off of the addiction?
Correct, yeah.
What is going on? What do you think is the problem? What do you think is the root problem? What do you think is going on here? So, Eli, my man, give us your take on this.
Okay, so addiction, it's definitely a subject that is worth broaching, because I most everybody is afflicted by some sort of addiction. Okay. I'm not excluding myself from that. We're all addicted to whatever it is that we're addicted to. But there are levels of addiction, like we were talking about before. And for your audience and for my audience as well, if there is one thing that I could say about addiction, I would say one of the main culprits of addiction that is contributing to addictive recurrent behavior is the cooking and the processing of food. Okay? This is something that is arguably stronger than any other addictive substance out there. Why? Because you don't necessarily need to live off other addictive substances. You don't rely on smoking, you don't rely on drinking, you don't rely on the internet, internet addiction. You don't rely on porn, like sexual porn addiction, right? You don't need those things for your daily survival. But food you do require, well, okay, in general, right? In the general, how we live right now.
Right. Let's go along with the conventional story that human beings need food to survive.
Correct.
Let's go along with it.
We'll go along with it
for the sake of argument.
Yeah. Conventionally speaking, at the place that humanity is at right now, we require food every single day to live. Okay. Now, the problem with that is there's a dichotomy here, where food is necessary, but it can also be very addicting. Now, what makes food more addicting than it should be, however, is the cooking and processing of food. So if there is one thing that I can coach, that I can preach to anybody, right, that is going to be more influential in your ability to overcome your own addictions, it is to renounce the cooking and processing of your food and food elements. Okay, why is that? Why is cooking and processing so dangerous as an addictive substance? It's hard for us to understand, because why would Mother Nature make food harmful to your body if it tastes good, if it's pleasant going down? Like what is that? What kind of malevolent creator entity would curse us with such a ridiculous thing, right? Why would that be? Okay, the thing is, it's not like that. It's the cooking phenomenon. It's the cooking process that adulterates what would normally be a pretty harmonic relationship. Okay, let's just take a fruit, an apple, a pear, or whatever. Nature, by its design, in its construction, has manufactured the fruit or the edible substance to be enjoyable. If it weren't enjoyable, nobody would do it. That's obvious. All right, it would be a very, very silly choice by nature to make that which is life-sustaining horrible and unpalatable. Right? The creator would not do that. There's no. Imagine if sex felt like being burnt alive. The species would be extinct. Right? Okay. So this is common sense. Now, when you subject fruit or any natural food element to an artificially destructive force like fire or cooking, right? What happens is that the heat drives out the essence from the food because the heat is destructive by nature. If you want proof of this, hold a match to your thumb for 5 minutes, and we can prove this. We don't need science to prove this to us. Heat.
Hey man, like if you were to burn me right now, you wouldn't get anything out of me.
I wouldn't get anything out of you. No.
You wouldn't get anything out of me.
Yeah, it would really be counterproductive to just burn you alive right now if I wanted to conduct,
Right, there would be no conversation. Yeah. You wouldn't be receiving any information. There would be no energy exchange. I'm done.
No.
I'm in another dimension altogether.
You're done.
Now. The consciousness is left.
Exactly. You're done. Yeah. Right? So, now, we recognize that, and now when we subject our food to that, the same thing happens. Water leaves. Okay, so you get a dehydrating effect from the cooked food. When you dehydrate the food, the concentrations of the beneficial minerals and nutrients and whatnot, that increases. So let's say the fats, the fat elements in the food that stimulate your pleasure centers when you put them in your mouth. When the hydration leaves the food because of heat, now you have a super concentration of those feel-good elements that you get when you eat the raw food. And it's the super concentration of the feel-good elements that cause the dopamine effect, right? That's that becomes very addictive because you are, you are artificially increasing the sheer density of that which nature has designed in the food to excite your pleasure centers so that it entices you to come back and eat them. But now you've got the hyper-concentrated sugars, hyper-concentrated fats, and hyper-concentrated proteins. All of those macronutrients your body is designed to go after and seek, but not in that super concentrated form. So what you're doing is you're hijacking your pleasure centers and you're teaching your body to go after that which it needs. But it's like, but if I can get what I need in this like ridiculously good tasting form, well, I'm going to go after that. And thousands and millions of years of evolution we can't help it. We're programmed to go after those things. But if you teach your body to go after them in this unadulterated form, you will program into your system a habituated reflex to go after those, and you'll start to not be sensitized to those, again, addictive substances, but arranged in a harmonic way by nature in her divine intelligence, in the matrix of that organization, in a natural food,
the organic matrix.
Exactly.
Like you can't improve on perfection, right? That's the thing.
Correct.
Anything you do to perfection makes it less perfect. Anything, it's perfect.
Correct.
It's perfect. Like we do this all the time. Here is a swimming pool and a compound. Well, I lived by a beach for like a couple of months, and hopping in a swimming pool versus hopping in the beach are a totally different experience.
Yeah.
That satisfaction of hopping in the beach, which is just coming out of the organic matrix of life, compared to jumping into a pool of chlorinated water. I mean, it's like it doesn't compare. It doesn't compare. One is perfect, the other is man-made, and it seems to me that anything man-made is shit by virtue of it being man-made. Why? Because it's perfect as it is. The organic matrix is perfect as it is.
Yeah.
Anything you do to it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. We have this technology. Oh, we have this swimming pool. Oh, we have these foods that we made in a lab. It's like, already, just by virtue of you doing anything to the perfection, it's done. You just made it less perfect, automatically.
Yeah, we're very arrogant as human beings. We want to believe that we are smarter than nature, and the history of mankind is a testament to this arrogance. I mean, only humans could have the ingenuity to be able to split the atom, work with uranium and plutonium, and cause a nuclear blast, or at least have the potential to cause nuclear explosions. and then be stupid enough to actually do it, right? And to actually blow up. I mean, what kind of morons? Like, we're so arrogant. We want to believe that we can take food and engineer them with human intellect, with human thinking, and we peer into the depths of a tomato, and we say, oh well, because I can identify this particular little atom here and this particular little element, well, I'll just create a new tomato that has a huge abundance of this one element, and because we need that in our diet, that's a good thing. Yeah, you guys are fools. People are fools if we think that we can do better than the divine intelligence that has created life. Like I always use the example of skin. Name me a human invention that is more ingenious, more perfect, more intelligent than skin. Like if you think about it, it really is baffling. Like, I can slice my forearm open right in front of you here on camera, and then I can come back a month later, and this machine has repaired itself. Like, it's repaired itself like magic. The blood vessels have been repaired. The skin tissue has been repaired. There's going to be, depending on how deeply I cut myself, there's going to be a trace. There's going to be a scar, right? But it won't compromise my functioning. I'll be able to use my arm. The pain will go away. The inflammation will go away. I mean, good luck coming up with a machine that is so self-sustaining and reparative.
Man, it's incredible. And if we had a third eye open, if we were actually operating fully at our full capacity, we wouldn't need phones because we have telepathy.
Yeah.
We would not need phones. In fact, technology is the outgrowth of the fall of consciousness.
Yes.
We would never even think about creating a device like the phone if we were operating at our full potential.
Yeah.
So the very fact that we have technology, inorganic technology, that alone suggests that there is a fall in consciousness that occurred at some point or other.
Correct.
Causing
right.
us to go into the external world to replicate the internal technology by trying to find it externally to ourselves.
Yeah.
So even when somebody wants to heal, they'll try to get something, a herb, a food, this or that. And when people go on a raw diet or a fruitarian diet and they heal, the food didn't heal. It's less obstructions in the system, allowing the body to heal itself.
Right.
Sure, lemons, citrus, etc. You may say they have certain properties, they help, this and that. They help. It's like installing a turbocharger on a car that is already super fast. It's just a little turbo. You drink some lemon, you drink some orange juice. It's giving you a little boost.
Yeah.
But no amount of orange juice will save you from a poor night's sleep. Why? Because you didn't access that cosmic energy.
Correct.
So if you had 2 hours of sleep and you woke up, you could drink all the orange juice you want. You could go raw. You could go fruits and sleep every day for 2 hours. You're going to deteriorate because you're not getting enough of that cosmic energy.
Yeah.
Which is the force. That's the force. That's the Tao. That's all the intelligence, right?
Yeah.
The intelligence. So that's perfect. That's perfection. And whenever we mess around with that perfection, it's like automatically we create this karma that we have to reap. Like the minute you alter anything, the minute you alter your food, you're already reaping the karma because you're gonna suffer inside. You're gonna experience pain. You're gonna experience suffering. And it's like, you can't, man. We're so arrogant. We
are. Yeah, we are. It's this kind of fundamental lack of understanding of the elements, the core elements that constitute vitality, that we reach to all of these external mechanisms to heal our bodies, but it just doesn't. I mean, how many overweight people do you see in the gym trying to use exercise to correct errors in their eating and living behaviors? It'll never work. You're never going to be able to exercise away a crappy diet and a crappy lifestyle. If you're not sleeping and you're not eating well and you want exercise to heal that, good luck. Good luck. Not going to happen.
Man,
Not gonna happen.
Man.
Yeah.
And I'd like to offer a perspective also on the same lines as to why people are addicted. So we had the cooking of foods, which we discussed now.
Yeah, please. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Because there's also the Maillard. Just to finish off the thing with the cooking. There's something called the Maillard reaction.
Mm-hmm.
When you cook something, hundreds of chemicals are created which are addictive. Hundreds of chemicals previously unknown to your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, for whatever reason, they're addictive. That's the cooked part.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also, I like to look at things in terms of systems, right? And zoom out and watch it as if it's a sport game that's going on. If we zoom out of society and we look at what's happening is we have structured these cities, which are really the epitome of separation consciousness. Humans are separated from the rest of the living organisms, separated from the animal kingdom. I mean, we have maybe cats and dogs as pets, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see monkeys in the streets. You don't see elephants in the streets. You don't see them because the whole point of the city is to separate human, from animals, from the plant kingdom. So we may decide to keep certain trees here and there for whatever reason, because we want to have greenery. But the essence of a city, the essence of it is to separate human being from the rest of the world. So much so that in our English language and in most languages, the animal and the plant is an it. It is. We refer to it as an it. You see, that's the arrogance of human. We refer to plants and we refer to, subject. We have subject object, and they teach you human being is a subject. You refer to he and she, and you say that's a living thing, or an organic living thing. But when it comes to animals, when it comes to plants, we refer to them as it.
Right.
So we created this separation in the cities. Now, of course, the minute you created the separation, you've committed a sin. And the word sin means to miss the mark. So we miss the mark because everything is one and it's all interconnected and everything needs everything. So what happens is this intrinsic longing, this intrinsic longing for every organism to bond with other organisms is lost. Once that innate longing for union with other parts of you, because it's all one consciousness playing all these different parts, then there is this sense of loneliness, this sense of despair, feeling separate, right? So that results in people developing different addictions, and they come in different shapes and forms. Okay, if you go out and spend some time camping in the woods, pretty soon you're gonna start wanting less and less and less things, because you feel a sense of connection with all of beings. You feel a sense of connection with the trees, a sense of connection with the animals, a sense of connection with the whole creation. When we are inside cities and when we're living our lives in a way that is very artificial and very disconnected, people have no connection with their foods whatsoever. They have no connection with their foods whatsoever. When you live in such a disconnected way, and you live such a dysfunctional life, a city life by default is a dysfunctional life. I don't care what anybody says. It's by its very existence. But it's Babylon. That's Babylon. By the very existence of Babylon, you created a dysfunction. And that dysfunction manifests in so many different ways, of which food addiction is one way. And, I observe this in myself. Like, I usually, if I want to eat something, I'm eating out of boredom, out of frustration. If I go take a walk in the woods, it's gone. The craving is gone. The thoughts are gone. I'm just at peace. So, basically, our societies, our global societies, the way we live in cities is not peaceful. It's agitating to the human being. And in a state of agitation, what happens is your breathing gets more shallow, you take more breaths per minute, you're more frantic, your brain waves are operating in beta, and as a result, you're like this. You're in, fear or flight, and you're this, this weird frantic being that's going around like I want to try this and I want to eat this and I want to eat that, because you're agitated, right? There's no peace found in the society. You're constantly hearing noises and right? But if you create a peaceful atmosphere, which is if we lived in nature and maybe build a little shack for yourself and you give yourself lots of space, most space on Earth is not even inhabited.
Sure.
If we actually wanted to spread out as human beings, we could.
Yeah.
Everybody could have a big piece of land, and you could live very peacefully, and you can grow your food. When you're basically, it's a very simple equation. If you're agitated, if I have a car and it has no fuel in it, I'm gonna want to go externally to the gas station and put some fuel in it, because it's empty, it's empty and I need it to. So what happens is we feel empty, unpeaceful, not peaceful, agitated. So we start to go external to us. We go external. I want a car. I want food. I want this. It's like a rush, external rush. But if you're living peacefully, which can only happen really if you're living in harmony with your environment, your tank is full.
Mm-hmm.
And all these addictions, they're not even there to begin with. Because your tank is full. Yeah. You're at peace. You're living harmoniously with your environment. And I think that's one of the root problems of food addiction, is like we're not living peacefully with our environment. We're not in a state of peace. We're in a state of agitation.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you want to get a little conspiracy theory about it, I could talk about ETs, aliens, there's reptilians, whatever. You may be familiar with some of this stuff, right?
Yeah,
because there are other forces.
Yeah.
You're familiar, okay.
Yeah.
Because there are other forces at play, like this matrix that we're in, this cities, the Babylon, these cities that we're in. That's not some human elites that orchestrated it. Actually, that's something happening in like different dimensions, and it's being carried out here on this plane. Yeah. You see, kind of like in a sport game, who's drawing the what? It's the coaches, but you don't see the coaches playing on the field. You see the players playing on the field.
Yeah, it's a good
right?
analogy. Yeah,
it's the same thing. Actually, the coaches you can't even see them with your eyes. They're sort of these other beings, right? And so what's happening is we're playing here. We're the players. We're playing, but actually, this game in this Babylon, this cities and civilization and disconnection of humans from the rest of the world, that's someone else's plan, and we're just playing along, right? Yeah. And I think that's one of the root causes of food addiction.
Yeah.
It's like I think if we want to make a deep change, I will use the words of Wim Hof. We gotta go back to nature.
Yeah, nature always wins, man. In the end. And you touched on a number of good points there. You spoke about agitation, and one thing to remember, guys, on your audience and my audience as well, that state of agitation, that living in a densely populated city or a less densely populated city, depending on where you are, the fact that you have this amazing food abundance instantly available at your fingertips, it causes a little bit of a disruption in the relationship you have with food, whereas in a natural setting, a meal is like time to rejoice, right? It's like, holy crap, here we go, I've got a meal, and you have this relationship with food where it's a bit more sacred, and with sheer abundance, you lose that sacred nature. The more the abundance, the less novel, the less sacred the food is. And so you set up this formula for overeating and addiction and whatnot. So we have our environment working against us, as you mentioned. And of course the advertising doesn't help, all these outrageous commercials with flashing lights and bright colors, enticing children, Okay, so we've obviously got the social programming aspect that we haven't even touched on because it's a huge component, but I mean, we'll be here forever, talking about all of the ways that, addiction develops a foundation. So you have brainwashing from the time we're kids, myself, yourself included, everybody included. So there's that working against you as well. So let's not forget that. But then you have the environment. Okay, so the same forces that are responsible for brainwashing you are the same ones that are responsible for setting up the environment in which you live. So you've got these two elements. And what you also said about agitation, the state of agitation, you have to remember out there, ladies and gentlemen, nobody please take this as an offensive comment. I'm just simply stating really what is. Chances are that you are living in a chronic state of agitation, a chronic state of internal physiological agitation. If cooked food is a part of your life, you're part of your daily life, I guarantee you that agitation, internal agitation, is a chronic habitual state in your system, even if you are not necessarily aware of it, right? Your body doesn't lie. Your body will never lie to you. You cannot fool your body. You cannot eat raw food for 90% of the time and then introduce cooked food here and there, or it'll just be a little bit of salt or a little bit of chocolate or whatnot.
No.
Yeah, you might perceive it as just a little bit, and so it doesn't matter. But you can't fool your body. You can't just put stuff down and so fast that your body doesn't recognize it. Your body knows. You can't cheat your body. So whenever you eat that which is not supposed to be eaten, you create agitation in your system. Blood has to be rediverted and pooled from other places in your system, and it has to rush to your stomach to deal with the poisons and waste products that you put there, whether in a small quantity or in a larger quantity. Regardless of which, okay, the fact is your body still has to deal with it. And that is agitating. So it's in your best interest. What I was going to say is, that state of agitation, right? You can better and more effectively deal with addiction the less agitation you have in your system and going on. So you need to eliminate that agitation completely, and your thinking will now be affected. The blood that I was telling you, the chronic state of blood having to rush to your stomach. Now, the more of that blood and energy, the two are closely associated, inextricably associated, energy and blood flow. That will start to go towards your higher thinking centers, the blood and the energy. Less of it consumed with digestion only. And elimination of poisons and whatnot. I'm glad you mentioned that. I talked about specifically how cooking itself was leading to this process in your body that is highly addictive. And then what you've added, that state of agitation, whether in our environment, whether inculcated into us through imagery and propaganda and whatnot, and of course chemical and physiological agitation. These all contribute to what we understand as addiction. And it's such a broad subject, and there's a lot to be discussed about addiction. And amazingly, we've already been going for about an hour and a half now. So
wow.
I think the best thing to do is we should do a part 2 to this. We haven't given to your audience and my audience steps to overcome addiction. So we haven't gone into that at all. And some of the other things that I wanted to ask you about.
You read my mind, brother. You read my mind. I think I told you from the beginning of this, we got a lot of shit to talk about.
Oh, so I know.
Man, I feel like it was just it was at the tip of the iceberg here.
Oh,
yeah. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah. I think we'll stop here.
Okay,
we'll make
perfect.
a part 2. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll pick up at the beginning of that video steps to overcome the addiction.
That's a good idea. That's a good plan.
And then I want to venture into many other topics.
Yes.
Religion. We mentioned talking about religion.
Yeah.
I think I want to venture. I think we covered a lot of the food stuff here.
Yes.
We'll finish off part 2 with giving the audience practical steps. You could share your perspective, my perspective, things from your end, things from my end. And then I'd like to make it a little next video, perhaps get more into the esoteric stuff.
Yes. Yeah, sure. We can do all that.
The esoteric stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what we'll do, guys, ladies and gentlemen, on for my channel. I really want to thank you for sitting in with us and listening to this.
My pleasure.
Amazing conversation.
Thank you too, man.
Yeah, thank you, Saeed. Thank you so much. You know, it's been such an honor to have you. And this is a great conversation. I think this is very useful. And what we'll do in part 2 is we'll pick up from where we left off. We'll start with we'll continue on about some addiction and steps that you can take to alleviate addiction and to get rid of it. So the best ways to do that. We also want to talk about you mentioned religion, you know, and the religious institutions that have been set up because these are addictive substances, just like food, except in the mental realm. It's the same thing. So these are all related, and I want to get into that as well. So depending on how far we get to in part 2, maybe we'll get into that and finish that off in part 2, or if we have to go into a third episode, we'll do that as well. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, I get a feeling this is gonna be a multi
episode. That's fine. We'll do whatever it takes.
Is fine. This is enjoyable.
Yeah.
Know?
Yeah.
Like,
no problem.
This is illuminating for us too, and for our audience as well.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Very good, my friend. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, my brother.
Okay.
It's such a blast. And you know what? I'm moving to Georgia tomorrow.
Oh,
so
perfect.
We'll talk up. We'll link up. We'll talk about this. We'll set something up.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a plan to me. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And for you guys.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
No problem. Guys, I'll add some links to Saeed's channel down in the description. Please make sure to check out his channel, his content. He's got very good content. If you're a fan of what's been going on the Freemelon Society here, you're going to be a fan of what's happening on Saeed's channel.
Same on my part as well. You know, like some of my audience already knows Eli, and if for the guys that don't know, if you enjoy my content, you will absolutely love his. And I learn a great deal from you, man. Just to put it out there,
and likewise,
I learn a great deal from you.
Likewise,
yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, likewise. Beautiful, I've learned a lot
Beautiful.
from you as well. Yeah, thank you so much for your channel. It's helped inspire me, and it helps to inspire everyone else as well. So beautiful stuff. Thank you again, everyone, and thank you, Saeed. And we will see you next time on part 2 of this discussion.
Beautiful. Eli, see you later, my man. Everybody, I'll see you guys later.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, brother.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
Take care, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.